Father, we bless you. Let your name be exalted in the name of Jesus. This is the ministry of Moses, part 63. We're going to take our text from Numbers 11:31 to 25, Numbers 11:31 to 35, and Numbers chapter 12, verse 1 to 3. Now, let's consider 31 to 32. That's Numbers 11. You know, Numbers 11, verse 31 to 32 shows how the Lord supplied them with meat in excess. The Lord gathered so much quail for them that it looked like a mountain. People began to pick and satisfy their lust and greediness. It took them days, but they were there loading and offloading. But in verse 33, something tragic happened. As the people returned to their houses with the meat, God waited for them to do all the processes involved. And when it was ready as food, God came. And as they were still eating the meat in their mouth, the anger of the Lord kindled against them, and the Lord smote them with a great plague. When it appeared as if God is feeding your ego, be careful. The result can be disastrous. The people lusted after meat, and when they were still chewing the meat, the anger of the Lord came upon them. Anytime you see God responding to the lust of a generation, such generation will end up suffering several losses. Due to what God did here, many of the Israelites died and they were buried in Kibro, Kibroth Atava. This name was given, no, this was the name given to that place because it is the location where those who lusted were buried. if you if you don't deal with your lust, it will end up dealing with you. There is a limit for those who have allowed lust to dwell in their heart. There is a limit they can cross. Yes, there's a limit for those who have allowed lust to dwell in their hearts. Of course, there's a limit they can cross, and that limit is the Kibros Atava. Now, you better deal with lust in your life you before you get there. Otherwise, you may end up not surviving. Survival in this case is a matter of hearts. It's a matter of your heart desire and not how many people you know. In this location, those who allow lust have allowed death because that environment is not conducive for lust. After those people were buried, the Israelites moved to another location called Azeroth. This new location has its own characteristics. It is the place where God judged rebellion. Let us consider the next chapter, Numbers chapter 12, verse 1 to 2. And Miriam and Aaron spoke against Moses because of the Ethiopian woman whom he had married, for he had married an Ethiopian woman. And they said, hath the Lord indeed spoken only by Moses? Hath he not spoken also by us? And the Lord heard it. Here, two top ministers in the ministry of Moses spoke against him. If it was to be among the congregation, we may say they are being childish. But this happened among his co-ministers. Sometimes it is those people who don't, it is those people you don't expect that fight you. And the hurt will be more in you. The reason you will feel the hurt more from such people is not necessarily because of what they did, but because of who is doing it. The more they trust, the deeper the hurt. The, the, the ministers who were supposed to call him and encourage him on how to make his marriage work are now the ones using it against him. Since there was no way to get to him, they decided to pass through his marriage. They used what they think he did wrong against him. So they said, why must you marry an Ethiopian woman? In verse 2, they began to communicate their real intentions for fighting Moses. So it was not really about his marriage. They actually wanted to attack his leadership. They wanted to use his marriage to fight his leadership. They said it is not only Moses that God can speak through, since he has also spoken through us. It is not only you that God can talk to, God can also talk to us. that you know that God speaks to you the same way he speaks to your leaders in faith doesn't mean you are mates. That God talks to you the same way he talks to your leaders in faith does not mean both of you are mates. There is something they know about God you definitely do not know. These two ministers, these two ministers wanted power desperately. They wanted to take over the position of Moses. They were only interested in the honor of Moses. They have refused to see the labors and the sacrifices. If you ever become a leader just for recognition and to get honor from people, then you may never be effective because your motive for occupying that position is wrong. With such a motive, you have failed before starting. Unfortunately for these people, as they were saying this, as they were saying these evil things against Moses, the Lord hid them. God, what a calamity. There are some people that if you talk bad about them in their absence, God hears for them. This is a reality to those who are meek. Meekness activates the jealousy of God over the life of a man. The reason, the reason God had to hear on behalf of Moses was that even if Moses heard them, he may not take any strict actions against them due to his meekness. Don't look down on a father in faith. They may look weak and vulnerable, but if you touch them, God will touch you. Many of those fathers of faith that looks weak and vulnerable are being guided by the jealousy of God. Learn from the life of Moses. Don't run, don't run your mouth uncontrollably about the people of God. Otherwise, the repercussion may not be palatable. In verse 3, God bears witness that Moses is the meekest person on earth. What is meekness? It is the ability to submit your tendencies and strengths under the will of God in such a way that you are not moved by, you are not moved by the physical and the spiritually available things, but by the dictates of God. It is important to note and know that meekness is not weakness. Meekness is not weakness. Anyone who sees a meek man as a weak man is weak. Anyone who sees a meek man as a weak man is weak. This is the wisdom of God. Don't sell it.